You are tuned in to a Fireside Chat with Zany Mystic. Join us now on another exciting metaphysical journey. Relax, tune in, drop out, and take a seat by the fire as we explore new realms and possibilities. This is Magenta Pixie. You can find me at magentapixie.weebly.com. But now, here is Zany Mystic and guest. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a Fireside Chat with Zany Mystic. I'm your host, Lance White. Tonight, I'm delighted to welcome Jay Weidner, who returns to the show. Called by Wired Magazine an authority on the hermetic and alchemical traditions and erudite conspiracy hunter, Jay Weidner is a renowned author, filmmaker, and hermetic scholar. Considered to be a modern-day Indiana Jones for his ongoing worldwide quests to find clues. I'm not really reading this. This is all I memorized this. Quests to find clues to mankind's spiritual destiny via ancient societies and artifacts, his body of work offers great insight into the circumstances that have led to the current global crisis. He is the producer of the documentary films 2012 The Odyssey, its sequel, Timewave 2013, and is the director of the forthcoming feature documentary, Infinity, The Ultimate Trip. He is currently in the completion stage of this feature documentary, Infinity, on death and the afterlife, featuring numerous authors such as Daniel Brinkley, Dr. Albert Villoldo, yes, that, Neil Donald Walsh, and many other spiritual luminaries. So let's have a fireside chat with Jay right now. Hi, Jay. Welcome back.
Hey, I'm just getting my hands warm here.
Good. I'm getting warmed up myself. I know we'll be able to do this.
Yeah. Global warming, of course, is here, and it's about 30 degrees below normal here. So,
oh, geez,
get warm by the fire here and talk.
Wow. Well, I usually have a fire in my fireplace so that I'm literally having a fireside chat, but lately it's been smoking a bit, so I decided to choose clarity over warmth.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading your article sections today on your site, and I just want to mention it now in case people want to go there, which is www.jayweidner, that's JAYWEIDNER.com. And on the articles page, there's some new information there that I hadn't noticed before. And I'm telling you, it was like my jaw dropped onto the desk when I read the first few articles, especially the ones about Stanley Kubrick. Would you, can we kind of start out with the article on Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey and some of the amazing synchronicities that are occurring there?
Well, the whole entire Stanley Kubrick Odyssey, not just 2001, but the entire work of Stanley Kubrick is really has to almost be understood by stepping back as far away as you can and taking a wide look at it. And Stanley's obsessed with time. If you watch his third film, The Killing, it's intercut between many different times. This is way before the film Memento or any of these modern films. This was 1956, and when you move forward to Dr. Strangelove again, we're intercutting not between different times. We're in the same time, but time is different, even though it's at the same time. So when you're on the bomber, time is going fast, but when you're in the president's conference in the war room, time is moving very slow.
Right.
When you're in the trying to get the code from General Jack Ripper, time is moving it's slower than erosion. Because Jack isn't going to tell you what the code is, the recall code. So 2001 again is doing the old MF with with time. 2, because, you know, we have the ape cutting in 1/24th of a second between his throat bone and into a spaceship orbiting the Earth, you know, 4 million years later. And we don't really know what time it is on Earth when the space child returns, the star child returns at the end of the film. And when you read my article, Alchemical Kubrick, Part 1, 2001, the great work on film, you'll see that it's a conscious thing that Stanley Kubrick is doing. He's designing the film to be an initiation. When you wend together the other 2 articles that I have about Kubrick, and then what I have now discovered about the films of Stanley Kubrick, an eye-opening expose is at hand, and one I'm intending to get out here soon, I hope. But basically, Stanley Kubrick cut a deal, I believe, with the U.S. government to fake the moon landings, and I'm not saying they didn't go to the moon. They did go to the moon. They went to the moon. They brought back moon rocks. They put reflectors on the moon. They've done all sorts of stuff. Believe me, they've been on the moon a long time. But they didn't go the way that we were shown in the moon landings. That was faked by Kubrick. And in exchange, Kubrick cut a deal that he would be able to do the kinds of movies that he wanted to do. And the first of these kinds of movies was 2001: A Space Odyssey, of course, in which he not only embedded tons of alchemical and esoteric information into the symbols and into the script, but you can use it as a springboard to understand the bigger story that Stanley is telling, which is unveiled through the rest of his films very secretly. And that is that this world is ruled by a group of people who are very, very advanced and who have apparently a secret space program of which they're hiding from us, and engage in, I can't really say time travel, but they have a curious relationship to linear time, in that they appear to be able to move in and out of it. This is according to the films of Kubrick, not my opinion. And these people also have the ability to, they like to have, they're into deep and dark sexual practices. I'll try to be as nice about it as I can.
Right.
And through the films, especially all the films that follow 2001, is a long litany of an expose of a dark sex magic cult that rules the world. And it's all done very, very, very subliminally, and is a treasure trove that literally, like a zip file, when you open it, it just keeps pouring out and pouring out. At this point, I don't even know how to piece it all together, because the amount of information coming out is so astonishing that I don't know what to say.
Well, it's hidden right there in front of us, and I would say his movie Eyes Wide Shut is probably the closest to actually coming out and exposing that side of life as kind of a fictional movie, except that he's most likely playing it down quite a bit. And I think you mentioned in your article that there were some scenes that were cut out of it, unfortunately, that the producers didn't really want to get out there. And then there's terrible, there's incredible continuity breaks at certain points in Eyes Wide Shut, which just do not and are impossible for a man of Stanley Kubrick's discipline to have allowed. And I can't really tell you what happened in between these continuity errors, but there's something cut out. And that happens several times in the movie. And it's at those continuity error breaks that we can tell that something has changed, and that it was not left in the way that Stanley would have wanted it. But I can't beyond that, because Warner Brothers won't release the final cut by Kubrick, the director's cut, which I think he deserves. I mean, my goodness, it's his last film. Right.
They can do. They released Ridley Scott's director cuts. They released Steven Spielberg's director cuts. Why can't they release the director's cut of Eyes Wide Shut? And but they're not, and so we can't hope for that anymore. But yeah, I would say that there's a deep and dark undertone to Eyes Wide Shut, which no one. Well, there's one guy on the web, an alchemist, who has touched on it, and but it's quite an astonishing group of films. And one day I will write either my film or my book about this whole thing and get it all down in some sort of order. But I tell you, it is such a trip to sit in front of my big screen TV with Blu-ray Stanley Kubrick films and step through them slowly and discover one marvel after another.
Well, now I'm going to have to go back and watch them because you astutely wrote that you didn't take a Shining right away to his movie The Shining, and I'm with you on that one. For whatever reason, I never. It went over my head. I took it on a very literal basis. But when you explain the synchronicities and what's really going on there, it just makes me feel like an idiot that of course you don't know until you know, and
Now the secret stays secret until it reveals itself, and it's like Schopenhauer said at first when you say something unusual, everyone discounts it. Then the second time they hear it, they just shrug their heads and ignore it. Then the third time they act like everybody knew it all along. And I think that's what you're going to find with Kubrick in 10 years. I'll be long forgotten, and it'll just be common knowledge. There'll probably be films made about him as an alchemist and all sorts of things because it will happen here over the next 10, 15 years, I predict. Just as I predicted, by the way, I believe I've only been on your show once, right? Is that not
correct?
Yeah. I believe the last time I was on your show was in April 2008.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and if you listen to that show, which somebody has put on the internet, I don't know who, up on YouTube, but somebody wrote to me today about it. Apparently in that show I predicted the economic downfall of the fall. And so I'm going to have to listen to it because I can't remember, but so it's not hard when you make a study of things to predict. It doesn't take psychic ability. Right. And I predict there's a lot of things that are coming down the pike, and they aren't, they have nothing to do with me being a fortune teller or anything. I'm just a guy who reads a lot and then extrapolates forward. And maybe I have some psychic ability which aids me that I'm unaware of, because it certainly doesn't help me with my investments or anything else.
Well, I'm with you on that one. I just, like you said, I listen to my guests, and sometimes I'll hear something later that I didn't hear the first time. Again, it seems to depend on how awake I am in that moment, and it seems to change from day to day. So I try to put on my memory cap every day so I don't forget everything I've remembered up to that point, but it doesn't always work, and sometimes I forget to put it on.
Yeah, well, we all have our fading moments.
Really.
Yeah, as the world gets crazier and crazier.
Well, yes. Now, to what do you attribute that? You mentioned also, we could go into the numerous prophecies that you've studied from ancient artifacts from the Egyptian pyramids to the cross at Henday to the Hindu artifacts, and Mayan, it goes on and on and on. Yeah. And according to the Mayan calendar, we are just entered into the sixth night, so we're getting close to wrapping up these TikToks that they claim are the 9 levels of consciousness that are supposed to be arriving soon. Yes,
yes. It's unscrewing itself. But what's really going on is that there's a hardening of time, where time is a vortex. And we're moving down towards the tip. We're slowly cycling our way down towards the tip of this vortex. And as we cycle down, the concentric circles grow tighter and faster. So each circle around is faster, but also